Today, we're diving into a fascinating story that takes us all the way to the sunny west coast of Australia, to the vibrant city of Perth. With a population of around 2 million people, Perth is where Andre Rebelo built a life with his partner, Gracie, and their children. Andre and Gracie's journey began in July 2015, when they first crossed paths. Andre, then just 19, was instantly captivated by Gracie, not just for her beauty, but also for her relentless ambition and drive. She exuded confidence in her dreams, often declaring, "One day I'll be successful." And she was right. She made those dreams a reality. When they met, Gracie was working as a receptionist at a gym, but her life took an unexpected turn when she casually started sharing photos on social media. What began as a lighthearted hobby quickly exploded into something much bigger. Her follower count skyrocketed. Her inbox was flooded with messages, and soon, brands were lining up to collaborate with her. In what felt like the blink of an eye, she went from living on a tight budget to earning an impressive $170,000 a year. Andre was in awe and incredibly proud as he watched her rapid rise to success. In the beginning, he cheered her on from the sidelines, supporting her every step. But as Gracie's career soared, so did the demands of her work. Emails piled up, sponsorship offers rolled in, and the sheer amount of tasks, from creating content to negotiating contracts, became overwhelming. Wanting to help lighten the load, Andre made a bold decision. He left university to become her full-time assistant. He took on everything behind the scenes, from managing her finances to handling business deals and filtering through opportunities. Despite his important role, Andre's own income remained modest, just $20,000 a year, a stark contrast to Gracie's earnings. At first, Andre stayed behind the curtain, silently managing the chaos while avoiding the spotlight. But as fans started noticing him more, he began appearing in Gracie's content. Slowly, their lives became completely tied to social media. It wasn't just work anymore, it was their entire way of life. They spent countless hours crafting posts, connecting with followers, and cultivating the image of a picture-perfect life that their audience couldn't get enough of. Then things kicked up a notch when Gracie became pregnant. The arrival of their baby added a new layer of relatability to their story, which only fueled their popularity. Featuring their little one in posts drew in even more fans, and soon mother and baby brands were rushing to collaborate with them. Their audience grew, their income skyrocketed, but so did the demands of their work. Social media wasn't just a career anymore. It became a rapidly spinning whirlwind lifestyle, consuming nearly every aspect of their lives. Andre's mom, Colleen, always had this gut feeling that the picture-perfect life her son seemed to be living might not last forever. She was skeptical of the fast cash, the glitter, and the glamour that came so easily. To her, Andre quitting college to throw everything he had into Gracie felt like rolling the dice, a big risk. And honestly, her concerns weren't coming out of nowhere. Social media fame is one of the most unpredictable things out there. One day, you're on top of the world, and the next, the spotlight moves on to someone else. The idea of Andre building his entire future on something so shaky made her uneasy. Maybe her worries came from her own life story, one full of hard lessons. Colleen's path was anything but easy. Back in 2010, after a painful divorce, she found herself raising 4 kids on her own. It took everything she had to push through those tough years. But she did it. And as her kids grew up and started carving out their own futures, Colleen started to see a glimmer of light for herself, a chance to think about her own dreams and build something better. Little did she know, life had other plans, waiting. May 25th, 2020 began like any other day. That morning, Colleen was chatting with her kids as usual. Her youngest son, Fabian, and her daughter, Monique, were still living at home, so there was always a lively buzz in the house. Around 10 a.m., Colleen dropped Fabian off at his part-time job at the supermarket. "I'll pick you up at 2, she'd promised, like clockwork. But when 2 p.m. came, Fabian walked out of the store, and his mom was nowhere in sight. That was unusual. At first, Fabian didn't think too much of it. She must have gotten held up, he reassured himself. But as the minutes turned into what felt like forever, that uneasy feeling crept in. Colleen was never late. She was the definition of reliable, always on time, always dependable. This wasn't like her. Trying to shake off his anxiety, Fabian decided to walk home. Surely everything was fine, at least that's what he told himself. When he got there, everything seemed normal. The house was still. The door was shut. Nothing appeared out of the ordinary. But then, he heard the sound of running water coming from the bathroom. Relief started to wash over him. She's home. I'm overthinking, he thought, but something didn't sit right. Curiosity and concern got the better of him. Fabian pushed open the bathroom door. What he saw would change his life forever. There, under the shower, was his mom, on her knees, completely still. She wasn't breathing. Panic immediately kicked in. He pulled her out of the shower, wrapped her in a towel, and called 911, his hands trembling as he tried to explain what was happening. Desperate, Fabian began CPR, doing everything he could to bring her back. But it was no use. Colleen was gone. Her sudden passing devastated the family. That very morning, everything had felt so normal. They had talked, laughed. There was no hint, no sign that anything was wrong. And then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. Colleen was gone, leaving behind a loss so immense, nothing would ever feel the same again. The autopsy couldn't determine an exact cause of death, but for Colleen's children, accepting that their mother had passed away from natural causes wasn't just difficult, it felt nearly impossible. There were too many unsettling details they couldn't ignore. For one, when Fabian discovered Colleen's body, she was still wearing her gold watch, the same watch she always removed before stepping into the shower. Then there was the shower mat. Colleen never bathed without her trusted non-slip mat securely in place, yet on that fateful day, it was casually tossed over the edge of the tub. Why hadn't she used it? When the police arrived, they found no signs of forced entry. Every door and window was securely locked. Despite these oddities, there was no immediate evidence pointing to anything other than natural causes, leaving the family with little choice but to accept the ruling. But just a few weeks later, the case took a jaw-dropping turn. An insurance company reached out to the authorities with suspicions of potential fraud. At the center of their concerns, none other than Colleen's son, Andre. Here's where it gets wild. Just a week before Colleen's death, Andre had secretly taken out not one, but 3 life insurance policies in her name. If she were to pass away, Andre stood to collect a staggering $1,150,000. To make things even more suspicious, none of his siblings were named as beneficiaries. Not a single penny was designated for them. And here's the kicker. Just 3 days after Colleen's death, Andre didn't hesitate to file claims with the insurance companies. 2 of them immediately found the situation fishy. The timing of the policies, taken out so close to her passing, raised red flags, and they flat out refused to pay. The 3rd company wasn't as quick to deny the claim, but requested additional documentation before moving forward. That's when the whole plan began to unravel. Among the paperwork Andre submitted, one glaring error stood out. Colleen's date of birth was incorrect. It was Andre's birth date instead. But the slip-ups didn't stop there. Investigators soon discovered Andre had also forged a will in Colleen's name, conveniently naming himself as her sole heir. And then came the most shocking twist. Andre had gone as far as using artificial intelligence to create a fake voice recording of Colleen. The recording was chillingly convincing, making it sound like she had personally approved the policies. The level of detail was meticulous. Andre clearly believed he had every angle covered and could outmaneuver the system. But as the discrepancies and suspicious findings piled up, so did doubts about Andre's innocence. That's when the insurance company escalated the case, bringing in law enforcement. When questioned, Andre stuck to his story. He claimed that Colleen had fully supported the insurance policies, saying it was her idea to provide long-term financial security for the family. As for being the sole beneficiary, Andre insisted it was her wish that he manage the payout and divide it among his siblings later. But the authorities weren't convinced. Between the forged will, the shady timing of the insurance, and the odd circumstances surrounding Colleen's death, the evidence painted a much darker picture, a sinister, almost chilling one. Now, the question everyone couldn't stop asking was, could Andre have played a role in his own mother's death? The family was utterly stunned. None of them had the slightest idea that Colleen had taken out extra life insurance policies or even altered her will. What made it even more puzzling was the fact that their mother had never shown favoritism among her kids. It just didn't add up. Why would she leave everything to one child? And why Andre? If Colleen had genuinely made such a decision, logically, it would have made more sense for Julian, the eldest, to handle everything. This baffling situation drove Julian to temporarily move into their mother's house to dig deeper and personally examine the documents. That's when something strange came to light. Colleen's driver's license was missing. When Julian confronted Andre about it, Andre claimed he had taken it for handling inheritance paperwork, but his explanation didn't quite sit right. Then another unsettling detail emerged. Colleen's sister, the kid's aunt, recalled visiting the house at around 1:30 p.m. on the day of the incident. She remembered noticing an unfamiliar car parked outside. Later, at Colleen's funeral, she saw the same car again. This time, Andre and Gracie were getting inside. This discovery hinted that Andre had been at Colleen's house on the day she died, yet he'd never mentioned it to his siblings. When the police questioned him, his reply was jaw-dropping. "No one asked me." Andre even alleged that Colleen had made cryptic comments about being better off dead, implying she may have been suicidal. Meanwhile, Gracie told the police she had no clue what time Andre left the house that day. He hadn't told her anything, but phone records revealed a different story. Gracie had called Andre 12 times and sent multiple messages, all of which he ignored. At this point, the police began to strongly suspect Andre of murdering his mother. But suspicion wasn't enough. They needed concrete evidence to build their case. So they took a bold step, planting hidden recording devices in Andre and Gracie's home. They installed a microphone in the bedroom and a camera in the living room. Over a span of 3 months, they secretly monitored the couple's conversations. What they uncovered was shocking. The recordings revealed that Gracie hadn't even known about the life insurance policies. When she found out, she was furious, outraged that she'd been roped into a scandal that could destroy her reputation and jeopardize her sponsorship deals. Andre, however, was disturbingly arrogant. He bragged that no one would ever uncover the truth, confidently assuring Gracie that he would collect the insurance payout and wouldn't end up in prison. He even talked about their future, outlining plans to leave the country and start a new life elsewhere. But the biggest question still lingered. Why? Why would Andre go to such extremes? From the outside, he and Gracie seemed to have it all. Steady incomes, a glamorous lifestyle, and envy-worthy social media profiles. But behind the scenes, their reality was far different. The luxury home they showcased online wasn't even theirs. They were renting it for $880 a week. The sleek Range Rover? Leased. Their lavish vacations and posh hotel stays? Mostly covered by sponsorships. Beneath the polished image, their finances were in ruins. They were drowning in debt, falling behind on rent and car payments, and desperately attempting to keep up appearances. Things took a turn for the worse when Gracie learned she owed $40,000 in taxes, a staggering blow that blindsided her since Andre had been handling their finances. She had trusted him implicitly. Instead of addressing their mounting issues, Andre gambled their money on cryptocurrency schemes, promising Gracie they'd rake in $500,000 in a few years. But his risky bets left them with a devastating result. After 3 years, Andre's crypto bets had dwindled to just $22. With debt collectors closing in and no escape in sight, Andre resorted to a drastic solution: his mother's life insurance. Believing it was their ticket out, he took out multiple policies on her life, convinced it would solve all their financial woes. Then, in November 2022, Colleen Rebelo was arrested and charged with his mother's murder. His trial began in October 2024, and the jury wasted no time. On December 5th, 2024, after just 2 days of deliberation, Andre was convicted of killing his mother. Now 28 years old, he awaits sentencing this April, with a life sentence almost certain. But that's not all. He still faces additional fraud charges, which could pile even more onto his shocking story.